Shalom and welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Although I must admit I've been sick as a dog for the last couple of days, so I'm actually recording on a Saturday morning, but I hope that you will share this podcast far and wide. We're going to be talking about why socialism is not neighborly. Socialism is evil. And for those of you that might be Christians or might have a religious bent, I am going to ask you to share this podcast far and wide. But before we get to that particular topic, and we got some videos that I want to share with you as well, I'm just going to break down Jackson's 5. I've been inconsistent with that. I think I want to go back to that. Some of you liked it. Some of you didn't comment on it. But anyway, Jackson's 5, I think, is important. I just want to keep you up on some of the latest news of the day. Obviously, there was big news that broke yesterday, more on the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump, where the Pennsylvania officer says that he warned Secret Service to secure the area used by the shooter just 5 days before the rally. So I believe it occurred on a Tuesday, where he asked the Secret Service to secure that building. The Secret Service did not secure that building, according to the video, which we will watch later in the program. The officer is, just PO'd, frankly, and saying he, using all types of foul language, and understandably so, saying that he told the Secret Service to make sure that they cover that building. They had the inside. So anyway, we'll dive into that. I'll give you my reactions to that video. I'm sure many of you have already seen it, if not all of you, but I will opine on that. Also, Governor Tim Walz, this is the reason why I'm doing this particular podcast. Tim Walz is apparently a Christian, allegedly. He's a Lutheran. Which, by the way, the most radical, I forget the denomination, but it's basically a left-wing communist type organization. It is far from being Christian. But anyway, Tim Walz met with a Muslim cleric who promoted a pro-Hitler film. So that's really nice. That's really nice. More on the assassination attempt of Trump. The Daily Wire had reported that, oh, good Lord. Oh, man. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't have the story in front of me. I thought, anyway, there was actually, here it is. I'm sorry. The Pakistani suspect, I had it on my screen and not in my formerly fingerprinted fingertips. The Pakistani suspect in the plot to kill Trump was allowed into the U.S., even though he was on the terror watch list. Come in. You want to kill Trump? Yeah, come right in. Come on in. You're welcome. Yeah. That's our border. That's our Biden-Harris open border policy. Kamala Harris, which is total fake, total fraud, total AstroTurf campaign. I cannot stand that chick. I have to be completely honest with you. I really have a hard time just knowing that we've been gaslit, knowing that 14 million people were passed over. And I know the argument is, well, she's part of the Biden-Harris. No, she wouldn't have been picked if Biden hadn't picked her. And those 14 million people didn't vote for her per se. They voted for Biden, in my opinion. Again, just a month or two ago, everybody in the Democrat Party, for the most part, wanted to throw Kamala Harris under the bus. Now she's the bee's knees, and you have all these videos popping up like she's the new Messiah and all this kind of nonsense, and it's complete and utter AstroTurf. The sad thing is that it's working because in some of the polling, which let me share with you some of the polling real quick, part of Jackson's 5, if you will. Part of the polling shows that she has gotten a slight bump. I don't suspect that bump to maintain or to sustain, but obviously we have the DNC convention coming up. When is that? Is that next week? We have it coming up within the next couple of weeks. But right now I'm looking at the Real Clear Politics averages, and in Pennsylvania, Trump is up 2. This is according to Trafalgar poll, all right? But then according to another poll, the New York Times Siena poll, Harris is up +4. I'm not sure which is correct. We'll have to wait and find out. But obviously, Pennsylvania is a huge state. According to the 1776 Project PAC, if Harris does not win Pennsylvania, she cannot win the White House, so Trump needs to win Pennsylvania. Lord Jesus, let him win Pennsylvania. North Carolina, Trump is up 3. That's a good sign. In Arizona, Trump is up 1. And this is all with all the AstroTurf, with all the hype. It's still a tight race, and perhaps it was always going to be. Wisconsin, Harris is up 4. This, according to a New York Times Siena poll. But and then again, in an insider advantage poll, Trump, according to them, Trump is up +1. So the polls are a little mixed. All right. And I didn't delve in and click in to find out all the intricacies of the polls. I'll do that as we get closer to the election. Michigan has Harris up +4. Nevada has Trump up +3. So it is a tight race. It will continue to be a tight race. Kamala Harris continues to avoid press conferences. And I think that Trump and J.D. Vance just need to continue to smoke her out to the best of their ability. And honestly, you know what? I was of the opinion, yeah, Trump needs to debate. And I do feel like there needs to be a debate. But I'm not convinced that there needs to be 3 anymore. Here's what I'm in favor of now. I really think that Trump could win the election by doing this. And that is simply going to these battleground states and in areas specifically that have been hit hard by the Biden-Harris policies, and just call her out on the open borders, call her out on the economy, call her out on the crime and the jobs that have been lost as a result of the Biden-Harris administration. Tie those policies around Kamala Harris and don't let her run away from them. And as you go to the battleground states, you know what'll happen? I think polls will start dropping for Kamala Harris, and I think she'll be forced to want to debate. Obviously, she won't be able to debate well, in my opinion. I think in a debate, if she does, I think she'll be nasty. I think she'll be condescending. I think she'll try to shut Trump up. I'm speaking, like she does. I think that's what she would do. But she's not a very bright person. But beyond that, I think she's dumb and dangerous. I think it's a combination. She's a socialist. She's an authoritarian, and she's not very bright. I don't think she understands the impact that her policies will have. She's talked about capitalism and corporatism, basically, how all this price scheming with corporations. She didn't mention anything about the Biden-Harris spending that has led us into this astronomical inflation. Excuse me. Excuse me. I got to be honest, nursing a cold, so my throat gets a little dry even quicker. Forgive me. All right. So anyway, that's that. Did I mention Tim Walz met with a Muslim cleric who promoted a pro-Hitler film? That's always nice. That's always nice. All right. So here it is. Let's do this so that I can take a swig. We'll start with video clip number 3. I want to remind, this is a video clip that has been played far and wide of Governor Tim Walz. That's the VP pick for Kamala Harris. And I know that you've already seen it, but I'm going to bring some new light to it. I want to break this down. Then we have a black conservative female, used to be Democrat recently, but has converted and decided to vote for Trump. She was at a rally or a press conference with a potential candidate or potential Senator Carrie Lake in Arizona. I want to show you that video. I want you to hear that video and what she has to say. But first, let's do this. And then I want to react to it. I'm going to break it down. How socialism is not neighborly. And frankly, it is not kind. It is not compassionate. Socialism is evil. It is evil. It is the epitome of evil. Socialism is responsible for the death of over 100 million people in the 20th century. It's amazing how Democrats don't want you to know that. They will talk about religion. They will talk about, Christianity, Judaism. And oh man, religion is responsible for these many deaths and these wars and this and that. But what they won't mention, in one freaking century, socialism is responsible for more murder, killing, chaos in one century than what we've seen in world history. All right. So 20th century, again, over 100 million. Without any further ado, Gabe, let's roll video clip number 3. Por favor.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
All right, so one person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. And by the way, you guys know that he's not just being called Tampon Tim now, he's also being called Tim A. Walz online. And that is by many people that have served, that are calling him A. Walz because they feel like he abandoned his squad, if you will. And he took on. Not only that, they're saying he's committed stolen valor because he simply decided to retire instead of going to Iraq. You had a period of time where his squadron was notified that they were going to be going to Iraq. He decided to retire within that time and not go with his squad. All right, so that's basically that. And frankly, I do feel like civilians have the authority to call him, to call him out on stolen valor, to call him Tim A. Walz. In my opinion, all right, whether you served in the military or not, this is the reason why I believe that even civilians have the moral authority based upon what his squadron has said about him, to call him Tim A. Walz, to talk about his stolen valor. And I'll get to the socialism in just a second. The reason why we have the authority to do that is because we know what a hero is. And this guy has perpetrated himself as a hero in front of civilian people and in order to get votes. So if we find out otherwise by military people, we have a right to say, oh, wait a minute, you're not a hero. Yeah, serving 24 years in the Minnesota Army National Guard. Hey, that's admirable. If that's what you've done. But once you start lying about other things that you have done, including that you shot weapons of war, you don't want to see weapons of the weapons that you used in war in the streets. No, man, you're just a liar. You're just a fraud. First off, AR-15s aren't used in war. They're semi-automatic. All right. So there's a big difference. But the guy is scandalous, and more continues to break on this guy. And this is also why I believe they don't want to debate. I will not be surprised if Kamala Harris backs out of a debate. I will not be surprised if Tim Walz will do the same thing. Although I would love to see a J.D. Vance Tim Walz debate. I think that would be even better. Frankly. So hopefully I'm looking forward to that. We'll see what happens. All right. So moving on, you just saw that video clip. Actually, let's do this again, Gabe, if you don't mind. Let's roll, because I've been talking too long. Let's roll video clip number 3 again. And then I'm just going to go right into socialism and why it is completely evil. And I want you to share this part with your friends. All right. My reaction to this, and I'm going to break this down 6 ways or 6 reasons why socialism is evil. It is not compassionate. It is not neighborly. And I'll do it from a biblical perspective. Roll it again. Por favor, Gabe.
But we can get out there, reach out, make the case. And for one thing, don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness.
Okay. All right. So one person's socialism is another person's neighborliness, is what Tim Walz says. So let me ask, for those of you that might be considering voting for this moron, this moronic ticket, this evil ticket, the Harris Walz ticket, especially if you claim the name of Christ, let me ask you if you believe in the Bible. Oh, Carl, we do. I mean, the Bible speaks of socialism. Okay, we'll take that on in just a second here. But let's just speak about let's just actually let's pose it this way. When the Bible says if a man doesn't work, he shouldn't eat. Who's right? Who's right? Tim Walz right? If for those of you that are Christian that are thinking of voting for this evil ticket, Tim Walz right, or is Jesus Christ right? That's my question to you. Who's right? Socialism, economic equality, and social justice, right? You've heard Kamala Harris in the past talking about equity, because not all, we should distribute, excuse me, guys, I'm sick, so we should distribute equity, not equality, but equity should play a part in how wealth is distributed across the country, because not all of us start at the same platform. All right, that is straight up communism, and that is straight up unbiblical. All right, So God has given every single one of us gifts. He outlines gifts that are given to people in the Bible, and it is incumbent upon you to use those gifts in order to advance his kingdom and also in order to advance your life here on earth. I mean, it's really plain and simple. When you talk about social justice, is nothing more than redistributing wealth. And again, the Bible tells us it's Second Thessalonians 3:10. If a man will not work, he shall not eat. So again, I ask you, who's right? Tim Walz right, or is Jesus Christ right? That's the answer. That's the answer that you need to give. If you're a Christian, you have no business voting for this Biden, Biden Harris, but also for now this Harris Walz ticket. You have no biblical reason to vote for this ticket. They are absolutely evil incarnate, in my opinion. All right. Leftists claim that socialism or that capitalism and acquiring wealth and private property encourages greed and envy, but government ownership somehow removes the temptation to sin. All right. So that's what big government people, that's what communists believe, like Kamala Harris, like communist Tim Walz. That's what they believe, that if you acquire too much wealth, that you're greedy. If you acquire too much private property, you're the one that's greedy. So you need government in there to kind of be the referee. Well, what about government officials being greedy? They didn't work for that property. They didn't work for the things that you've worked for. So what makes it greed if you work hard to obtain things, but it's not greed because government officials see something that they don't like, they're jealous of it, and they take it away. And this is baffling to me. This is why it's so frustrating to me that Christians don't delve into politics as well, because it's so easy. God uses politics like he uses anything else. It's so amazing to me. And for those that say that poor people can be, yes, poor people can be greedy. The Bible tells us that as well. Of course, poor people can be greedy. And sometimes God may allow people to be poor. Not everybody's going to be rich, quite frankly. But poor people can be greedy. They can look at rich people and say, I want that. Rich people can look at other things and say, you know what? I want more. Greed isn't incumbent upon your socioeconomic status. It's incumbent upon what's in your heart. This is absolutely amazing to me. So capitalism is bad. Acquiring private property is bad. If you think capitalism is bad and you happen to be a person of faith, you need to read Matthew 25, the parable of the talents. I mean, that just blows up in your face. It blows up in your face. God gives talents to, and I forget the number, 1 talent to one, 5 talents to one, 10 talents to one, money, and then he expects them to invest it and come back with a return. To invest it, they come back with a bigger return for God. And then the person that he gave 1 talent comes back and says he didn't want to squander it. He didn't want to mess things up. I'm paraphrasing. And so he just keeps it. And God was very disappointed with that person because he had invested in him. When God gives you life, he's investing in you. He's expecting a return on the breath that he's giving you on this earth. Socialism takes that away. Socialism takes that away. Crumb snatchers, people that want what you've worked for are not godly people. They're not kind people. They're not compassionate people. Compassion says, you know what? I want the best for you. I want you to attain and to achieve everything that God has set out for you to do. And then when people say, no, they shouldn't do that. No, they're not compassionate. Compassionate is not saying, hey, you go work and then you give me some of what you worked for. What? Excuse me? No, thank you. No, thank you. That's crazy. That's crazy. You can't tell a person that has worked hard for what they've gotten. You want what they have, and then you're not greedy. There's a commandment thou shalt not steal in the Old Testament. And it declares that you have a right to private property. Basically, if God is telling you thou shalt not steal, you should not steal what? You should not steal what belongs to someone else. There's also plenty of scripture that requires restitution. I've talked about this before, but if you want to write this down, Jeremiah 32, 42 through 44, Micah 4, chapter 4, verses 1 through 4, Luke 12, verses 13 through 15, Acts 5, 1 through 4, Ephesians 4, 28. So why would scripture require restitution if God hasn't given us a right to property? The truth is, or the simple answer is, he has. Proverbs 10:4 says, lazy hands make a man poor, but diligent hands bring wealth. So Kamala Harris wants you to believe that capitalism is a scheme, that businesses out there making money is a scheme, despite the fact that businesses hire people that pay taxes, and they pay taxes, and so government has money to spend. Government isn't supposed to have money, or they don't have money, except the money that they take from us. Or they print money, and then they make you pay for the money that they print in inflation, which is exactly what's going on now. Socialism is incompatible with Christianity because it shifts the responsibility that God gave the individual, right, away from that individual and onto a bunch of people, onto a community. That's just unbiblical. When you stand before God, you're not going to stand before God as some type of communist, or you're not going to be able to stand before God and say, hey, man, I believe in socialism. God, I voted for this guy that wanted to, or in Kamala Harris's case, I voted for this chick that wanted to redistribute the wealth, God. And God is going to be like, well, what did you do? What sacrifices did you make? That's not a sacrifice. Telling the government that they can steal your neighbor's money, right? So it's not neighborly. Socialism is not neighborly because you're telling the government, hey, go steal his money. I don't want to work as hard. So go steal his money, go steal her money so that I can work less, so that I can have more. No, socialism is the epitome of greed. It is not compassionate at all. It is not neighborly at all. It is going to your neighbor's door and saying, hey, not saying, hey, may I borrow your butter? It's like, fool, give me your butter. It's crazy. It's crazy. So God, the Bible tells us to feed the poor, to take care of widows and orphans, and visit prisoners. He doesn't say vote for that or vote for a political party. That he says, you go do this. This is what I've called you to do. It's amazing to me how Christians, this is so simple. You don't need a master's or a doctorate in theology to understand this stuff. They actually have plenty of Bibles. One that I love, the Ryrie Study Bible, but there's plenty of Bibles out there. I would recommend getting these. Honestly, I hate to say this because I don't even trust some prints anymore necessarily, just because even the church has gone woke to some degree where they believe in cultural Marxism, the craziest thing ever. But those people should be banned from the church, to be kicked out of the church, in my opinion. Also, here's what you need to say, need to understand. All right, so we went over a few things. All right, socialism, basically economic equality and social justice. The Bible tells us that if a man does not work, he shall not eat. 2, we went over leftist claim that capitalism and acquiring wealth in private property encourages greed and envy, but government somehow removes the temptation of sin. That is a complete and utter lie. I went over verses, including in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not steal, where it's obvious that God has given us or empowered us to have private property, tells us that we shouldn't steal, which is an implication that it's okay to have private property. And I gave you other verses. 3, socialism is incompatible with Christianity because it shifts the responsibility from the individual to the community. That's just not biblical. God isn't going to say, hey, Carl, I'm getting ready to judge you on this. You know what I'm saying? But bring in all your neighbors, all your friends. Let's make sure they were on the same. It's just silly. It's just silly. And Christians and people of faith just shouldn't think that way because it's just not biblical. It's also, socialism is fake generosity. It's not generosity when you vote to take someone else's money to steal from your neighbor. That's not generous. That's the fourth point. You pat yourself on the back as if you've done something, great. You've not done anything great. You're a thief. That's all you are. Oh, yeah. I want bigger healthcare programs. I want this. I want that. Yeah, tax the rich. Go after the rich. Well, fool, if you keep going after the rich, what are they going to do? They're not going to go out and hustle to make that money so that they can employ people. They're probably going to invest their money. They're going to store it away so you can't get any of it. Does that make them greedy at that point? No, it makes them survivors. I don't want a bunch of crumb snatchers trying to take my money. I'm sorry. That's just crazy. It's not biblical. You're not generous by saying, yes, I'm going to vote to take this man's money away. I'm going to vote to take this woman's money away. They shouldn't be able to make that much. Why not? Because you say so? Who are you? And then you pat yourself on the back. I'm a good person because I voted to steal someone else's money. You're not a good person. You're not kind. You're not compassionate. As a matter of fact, socialism is evil. And if you think it's kind, maybe you should check your own heart. I'm just saying. All right. So that's the fourth point. Fifth point. Proponents of socialism are naive because they assume politicians that redistribute our money will never succumb to greed and envy themselves. It's always fascinating to me. I want to play this video clip. All right. This is video clip. Which one is it? This is video clip number 2. This is Jesse Waters talking about this scandal that happened with Tim Walz. This video actually goes even longer. We're only playing half of it. But a woman that ran against him in Minnesota when I guess he was running for lieutenant governor, I believe at the time, talked about all these fraud scandals that this guy had when it came to money. But here's Jesse Waters talking about it before she comes on, some stuff that I want you to hear. So you assume that when politicians say, give me more of your money, you have to assume that they're angels. They're not. You have to assume that these people are not morally bankrupt. You have to assume that these people are God-fearing, always full of, people, always full of, honesty and integrity. They're just not. They're just not. So here it is. This is video clip. Sorry, Gabe. This is video clip number 2, Paul Faber.
We've known Tim Walz for less than a week, and we've already found out he let rioters burn down cities, lied about his military service, crushed small businesses, and turned Minnesota into a child sex change sanctuary. But that's not it. Tonight, we're dropping another Walz bombshell. As governor, Walz let a gang of politically connected Somali fraudsters steal $250 million of your money. It was the single biggest COVID scam in American history. During the pandemic, the government was giving out money left and right. A nonprofit in Minnesota, Feeding Our Future, got $250 million to send food to needy kids. Sounds good, right? Here's the problem. Almost none of it was used for food. The Somali scammers blew our cash on real estate, cars, extravagant get trips. We have wire transfers that show thousands going to car dealerships. $160,000 went to some company in China. And $500,000 was sent to Kenya to buy an apartment. A $500,000 apartment in Kenya is probably a palace. But our tax dollars weren't just used on goodies. The politicians got a taste too. Ilhan Omar got thousands of dollars in donations from some of the scammers. These guys weren't criminal masterminds. It was sloppy. When they cooked the books, they made up names of their fake clients. They came up with these names. Are you ready? Unique Problem. Friday Donations. How'd nobody catch that? Well, early on, Walz's administration thought it looked a little suspicious, so they froze the funds. Then the Somalis sued and called Walz racist, so he kept letting them steal. They didn't bother to crack into the bank accounts or issue subpoenas. Walz just put his hands in the air and said, I'm not racist. Take whatever you want. Minnesota has a huge Somali population. You can't get called racist and expect to win another election there. Walz even gave one of the fraudsters the Minnesota Outstanding Refugee Award. 3 years later, she was indicted.
Wow.
No thanks to Walz, the feds came in after he ignored the problem for years. During the trial, the Somalis tracked down a juror and dropped off a Hallmark bag on their doorstep, filled with 120 G's, and a little note saying there's more to come if she acquits. This all happened under Walz's nose. He had every chance to stop it and failed. Just like he failed to protect his city during the riots, and just like he failed his unit
one of my
when he
concerns,
retired
honestly.
before deployment. This is the guy Kamala Harris chose as her number 2. Donna Bergstrom.
All right,
ran
so we
against
can leave
Walz
it
for
there,
Lieutenant
and
Gov-
he is a number 2. He is a piece of crap. I mean, he really is. Guys, listen, before I go on, I'm talking about how socialism is evil. All right, it's not neighborly. I want to talk to you about Priority Gold, and I think this is a good time because I'm gonna just be real with you. If there is a Harris Walz victory, I'm expecting nothing less than a serious recession. I'm just being real with you. All right. So now let me talk to you about Priority Gold. Economists warn that massive tax hikes could devastate your IRA and your 401k account as the stock market braces for impact. With inflation on the rise and global uncertainty looming, it's clear why central banks and savvy Americans are turning to gold. In times like this, Proverbs 21:20 reminds us to preserve what we built. Right now, that wisdom points us towards gold. If you haven't had your eye on gold, time to make it a priority. My name is Carl Jackson, and I urge you to call my friends at Priority Gold to find out how they can help you diversify your savings with physical gold and silver. You can call 1-800-405-GOLD or visit prioritygold.com/golden for a free gold info guide. Plus, see if you qualify for free shipping and storage as well. Act now to get your portfolio working for you while the market is golden. Again, call 1-800-405-GOLD to speak with a gold specialist or visit prioritygold.com/golden to learn more. That's 1-800-405-GOLD. Remember, prioritygold.com. prioritygold.com/golden. prioritygold.com/golden. All right. That is a hedge against protection. And guys, listen, there's no doubt that this political season has gotten you tired, has gotten you weary. The good news is MyPillow is out with some more special offers. So you've asked and MyPillow has listened. They're finally bringing you the most requested offer ever. Right now, you can get the queen size premium MyPillow for only $19.98. MyPillow is made with the patented adjustable feel. It adjusts to your exact individual needs, regardless of your sleep position. And I got to be honest with you. So I've been feeling sick, sleeping on the couch, and so I had my neck perched in a way that was kind of hurting, or whatever. It was just a weird position. I went and got one of my pillows, threw it on the couch, just fluffed it up to my liking. My neck was fine. All right. So it helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long. So you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. You get their 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets for only $25. The brand new mattress topper for as low as $69.98, and their famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25, and so much more. All you have to do is go to mypillow.com or call 1-800-858-0263 and use the promo code Carl. Again, that number, 800-858-0263. 800-858-0263. Use the promo code Carl. I spell it CARL, not like the communists, to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen size MyPillow for just $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay. Order today. Use promo code Carl at the checkout. All right. So now, just getting back to socialism and why socialism is evil. And again, I've talked about this before on Prager's show. I've talked about it on Larry Elder is back. I've talked about it on his show, and as well as Mike Gallagher's. But it's simply fake generosity. You're not generous if you're directing the government to steal other people's money. So don't feel good about yourself for voting for Harris Walz. It's just, if you have Either the Bible is true or it's not. So that's why I'm always fascinated. Even when blacks will come after me. I've even had black Christians come after me. Oh man, how could you say this? How could you say this? Oh, you're an Uncle Tom. You're this and you're that. And I'm just it doesn't. For a second, I'd be lying if I didn't say, man, those words hurt sometimes, but you got to take them and you just got to keep rolling, because ultimately I answer to God. I don't answer to them. You think you think there's an affirmative action plan in heaven? There's no affirmative action plan in heaven. You think God cares a whip if the black community is happy with me when I go meet him? He doesn't care about that. We care about that nonsense. He doesn't. 15, proponents of socialism are also naive because they assume, we have actually already gone over that. That's why I just played that video. All right, so I'm already ahead of the game, Gabe. Why didn't you tell me that? All right, so anyway, but that's what we do. We assume that these politicians are somehow nice people or they're the greatest moral people, and they're simply not. I mean, this guy, Tim Walz, destroyed the state of Minnesota. This is a guy that lied about his military record. This is a guy that allowed money to be stolen from needy people simply because he didn't want to be called a racist because of the large Somali population that is inside of Minnesota. This is a despicable human being. His wife, you guys saw the video earlier this week, as Minnesota burned. Oh, she opened her window to smell. She wanted to be one with the people, I guess, to smell burning rubber. What a sick freak. I'm sorry. That's just, that is some weird crap. That is some weird crap. No pun intended, but it works. All right. They also assume that rich people won't hide their money. Rich people shouldn't hide their money. That's greed. No, you're greedy. You're the one trying to steal it. Of course I'm going to hide it, just like you would. Try to pretend like you're all moral. You want to do the same. If somebody's robbing you, don't you pull your purse away? Don't you hold on to your wallet? Or that lazy people will continue working. All you do with socialism is you incentivize lazy people to become lazier. That's a sin. That is a sin. And then you also kill creativity. You kill productivity. As a matter of fact, it's probably the only reason China hasn't taken us over right now, because Xi Jinping is literally working obviously it's the Chinese Communist Party, but he's really been cracking down. He's really been working hard to make it a communist, socialist, socialistic state or whatever. And so right now they're losing jobs. The real estate market is insanely bad out there. They're losing, entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs in China don't want to work to have, a buttload of their money taken away. It just disincentivizes creativity and productivity. And the sixth thing that you should know, but before I get to that, I do want to make mention of our last sponsor, and that is Wealth Protection Research. Guys, listen, these people want to take your money. They want to take everything that you've worked hard for. They don't have a right to do that. But some people are going to vote for Democrats. They're going to vote for the left anyway. And so you got to protect yourself to the best of your ability. All right. So with the volatility, this is Wealth Protection Research, by the way, with the volatility from this election and our national debt just breaking 35 trillion for the first time ever. There has never been a better time than now to consider physical gold or silver as a way to protect your savings. I am concerned that if this election goes sideways, things are going to get even worse. The good news is there is something you can do now ahead of whatever future chaos might be coming. Wealth Protection Research has found a gold partner in Sasco Gold that specializes in helping everyday Americans protect their retirement accounts like 401ks, IRAs, or TSPs using a loophole that allows them to convert into physical gold or silver, tax and penalty free. Find gold and silver, and it's tax and penalty free. I'm sorry. Find out more when you text freedom, the word freedom, to 76626. You can do it right now. That's right. You can break free from your captive retirement account and enjoy the peace of mind knowing your retirement savings is now stored in physical gold and silver that you control. If you are interested in protecting your retirement with gold and silver, you can get a free gold investment kit from Sasco Gold just by texting the word freedom to 76626. Drew from Sasco is standing by, waiting to help my listeners. Again, text the word freedom to 76626. Tell Drew, I'm sorry, Drew. A bit of a cold here. Tell Drew that Carl sent you, okay? For your free gold investment kit, remember, text the word freedom to 76626. And I thank you, and so does Wealth Protection Research. We've got to protect our wealth against these commies. All right. So, you know what? I was going to talk about, did you guys hear that story with Taylor Swift? I know it's crazy, but anyway, I'll get into that in a later podcast. But I thought it was an interesting story. I just really wonder what would have happened if Swifties would have been bombed at a concert. I think finally, maybe some lefties would have realized that Islamofascism is a real global threat. Perhaps all the libs that are pro-Hamas would have said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we were wrong. We want to protect Israel." Maybe they would have got some common sense. I'm not saying I wanted anything to happen to Swifties. By the way, let me make that emphatically clear. But I just wonder if the outcry against Islamofascism would be much stronger, not just in the United States, but in Europe, because she was in Austria. I believe it was Austria, where she was supposed to give 3 concerts, and she's not going to be able to do any of them. All right, now. Also, there's a misinterpretation of Acts 2:44 through 45, and it says, "And all those who have believed were together and had all things in common." So you hear that word "common" and you think of common good, right, in the Bible. And they began selling their property and possessions, and they did it to help people in need. So they gathered as individuals, and they decided as individuals what they wanted to contribute, what they wanted to sell. They did so individually without force in order to help people in need, and in order to help, I believe it was travelers, if I'm not mistaken, that were in need. That's not socialism. That's you saying, okay, I'm a part of this church community, but because I'm a part of this church community, what do I do as an individual to bring something to the table? It's not, look at what everybody's doing. I'm a part of this. No, you're not. You haven't done anything. You haven't given. But it's a misinterpretation. As a matter of fact, I want to make sure, because I keep this with me. I don't keep it with me all the time, but anyway, whenever it's one thing about growing up in a cult, which I did, Worldwide Church of God. Actually, it's not a cult anymore. So for those of you that left, if there's remnants of it, you can go back. Actually, there are remnants of it that is still a cult, but mostly it's been disbanded, and people actually live for Christ now. So it's pretty amazing. But one thing that I did not want to do is live my life being fooled again, and because I mean, it's just a crazy way to grow up. And I grew up growing up in a cult. I mean, there were good things and bad things. The family values were strong. The church community was strong. The activities, you name it. You grab some lifelong type friends, but you're living a lie. And you don't realize it. You absolutely don't realize it. It says here, everyone, this is 44 through 45. Just want to reiterate this. And all those who had believed were together and had all things in common. And they began selling their property and possessions and were sharing them with all as anyone might have need. So as anyone might have need, day by day, continuing with one mind in the temple and breaking bread from house to house. They were taking their meals together with gladness and sincerity of heart. So house to house, each individual house. Somehow people want to believe that's socialism. That isn't socialism. There's a girl. I want to play this video. And perhaps we'll make this the last one, Gabe. And then I'll remind you about priority gold because I think it's important. I was going to share this video of the Pennsylvania officers. I'm going to save that for another podcast because it's just not really relevant to this particular topic. And there are other topics that I do want to make mention of that I think it is obviously relevant for. It could stand alone. But anyway, I do want to play this. This is a black conservative woman that has found her place in the Republican Party. And let me make this emphatically clear. I am not saying to be holy or to be right with God, you vote Republican. That is absolutely stupid. Republicans can be morally bankrupt too. But you do look at policy. And you look at policy and then you're like, okay, what policy is more closely aligned with biblical values? Aborting babies is when God says that I knew you before you were born. Okay, so that doesn't jive. Oh, I want to be down with the LGBTQ community when God says he created man and woman. Okay. That doesn't jive. Socialism, I just broke that down. That doesn't jive. Oh, racial divisiveness, as if there's an affirmative action plan in heaven, and we all of us that are not Jewish have been grafted into the kingdom of heaven because of the blood of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So he's adopted us, a Jewish God. Okay, so the race thing, that really doesn't work. But you have a whole party that's committed to keeping people divided based upon their skin color, based upon what's in between your legs, and you somehow think it's right to vote for them. Oh, they're kind to the poor. They're kind to blacks. Yet the black community was in better shape from the late 1800s to mid 1950, to about 1960. Less poverty, higher marriage rates in the black community than in the white community. LBJ steps in with the Great Society program, gets black women on welfare, destroys the black family. But the Democrat Party is good for the black family? The family, the institution that God created, first and foremost? Really? Yeah, you have to vote biblical values. Here's a black woman that's starting to realize the truth. Let's go ahead and roll it, Gabe. That is clip 1.
My name is Jade. I am a former Democrat. Unlike Kamala Harris, I'm an actual real-life black woman. And I'm a former Democrat who is currently registered Republican. I stand here before you today because I'm tired. I'm tired of the Democrats using the generational trauma of my people to garner votes. They invoke fear. They tell me I'm oppressed. They tell me I'm less than. They tell me I'm not good enough. And they tell me that my white brothers and sisters in Christ are my enemy. No. They are not. As a follower of Jesus Christ, Ephesians 5:11 tells me I must expose the works of the enemy. And the enemy is telling me that don't worry that I can't pay my bills, that I'm working 6 days a week this week and I'm tired. And I went to school and I have a career. I'm doing worse under this administration than in Donald Trump's administration, but I'm told to be afraid of a man who made my life better? Yep. How does that work? Make it make sense. During COVID, I knew more of my white guy friends that lost their jobs than me and my black girlfriends. We are the same in this country. All these Americans want the same thing. We want safety. We want prosperity. We want peace. And the Democrats keep going back and look, check it out, right? I honor my ancestors and the people who fought for us to be in this room here today. No one is discounting what my people went through. But honor them by getting past it and invoking forgiveness in this culture. I'm so tired of being told I need to be afraid. I'm so tired that I need to be told all the time that I have to vote for the Democrats who have done nothing positive for my life at all. My life is totally worse than it was during the Trump administration. Yet I kept having, you must vote for the Democrats. We're told this as black people since we were a child. Let's honor our ancestors by doing better and honor them, because they're rolling over in their graves hearing the fact that Kamala Harris is having Megan Thee Stallion twerk and showing our bodies as these like just vessels of lust. That's not cool. These women out here are being told that Donald Trump is like their enemy, when really Kamala Harris opening up the border, look what happened to Laken Riley. She's a woman. She was a woman just like I am. No woman, black or white, wants that to happen to her. All of these people whose kids are dying, the black moms, the white moms, they all cry the same color tears. So let's move past this. Let's vote for Donald Trump so we can all be prosperous again. Let's get out of this fear, this rage, and this anger, because it comes from the devil. So hear me, black folks. Hear me, white folks. We are so much more alike than we are different. We need to forgive each other. We need to help each other. And I don't owe the Democrats anything. They owe me. They're to serve us. They're public servants. Stop putting them on a pedestal. Make them work for us.
She's like, deuces. I like this chick. Make them work for, but she gets it. She gets it. She gets it spiritually. She got it practically. I mean, all they do is sow division, and they want us to war against each other. That is so wrong. That is so wrong. She talked about how her life was better under Trump. And the goal is, listen, this is what politicians do. They try to make us mad at each other, and then they just grow in prosperity. They're doing fine. The Pelosi's, look at how much power and money Nancy Pelosi has. She's not even in Congress anymore. And she was recently bragging about, oh, Gabe, we got to find that video because we'll put that in the next podcast. She was bragging about how, no, she was the Don. She was the mob boss that basically cut Biden's knees from up under him. They work for us. She got it spiritually. She got it practically. She got it politically. Good job, Jade. Let me just close out with this. I want to remind you guys, priority gold. Priority gold. Economists warn that massive tax hikes could devastate your IRA and 401k account as the stock market braces for impact. We've already seen the stock market fall, and it's starting to regain. If Kamala Harris gets in, guys, brace yourselves, okay? Just brace yourselves. Did you like that accent, Gabe? All right. With inflation on the rise and global uncertainty looming, it's clear why central banks and savvy Americans are turning to gold. In times like this, Proverbs 21:20 reminds us to preserve what we built. Right now, that wisdom points us towards gold. If you haven't had your eye on gold, time to make it a priority. My name is Carl Jackson, and I am urging you to call my friends at Priority Gold to find out how they can help you diversify your savings with physical gold and silver. You can call 1-800-405-GOLD or visit prioritygold.com/golden for a free gold info guide. Plus, see if you qualify for free shipping and storage. Act now to get your portfolio working for you while the market is golden. Again, call 1-800-405-GOLD, 1-800-405-GOLD to speak with a gold specialist, or visit prioritygold.com/golden to learn more. That's 1-800-405-GOLD. Guys, listen, I appreciate you tuning in to the Carl Jackson Show podcast today. And again, please share this podcast with your friends. Share it with your neighbors, especially people that are of faith. Help them to understand that socialism is not neighborly. Socialism is evil. It is absolute and utter evil. All right? It is theft. It is the government saying theft is okay, but we listen, or we answer to a higher authority. We answer to the Lord Jesus Christ. So no, socialism is not okay. It is not biblical. It is wrong. It is evil, and you should not be voting for anyone that will promote it. All they want to do is control your life and gain power for themselves, while they while they weaken you, while they make you less than, while they keep you in chains and keep you in poverty. Don't do it. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for this Harris, Walz, astral turf, and don't fall for socialism. Anybody that says you work and then I get a cut, nah, don't work like that, homie. All right, guys, appreciate you tuning in. Until next time, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you.